Hello and welcome to It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. This is a podcast for business leaders and business owners just like you. We're going to be sharing top tips on how to develop yourself personally and professionally. I'm going to be sharing updated podcasts on a regular basis, so please do make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy today's podcast. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My guest today is Neville Wright, and his story is a masterclass in entrepreneurial courage. Neville started Kiddicare with just 37 pence in his pocket, not £37, not 37 grand, 37p. Through relentless focus and obsession for his customers and a willingness to challenge the norm, he grew that idea into a business that eventually sold for £70 million. What makes Neville compelling isn't just this headline number, it's his journey, the decisions, the setbacks, the leadership moments that separate dreamers from doers. Today, he brings those lessons to us with his usual honesty, humour and practical insight. Neville, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Was that an okay introduction?
It's fantastic. I'll get my coat now.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you joining us on the podcast today. And actually, I remember we were just sharing about 5 years ago, I interviewed you at your house, and it's lovely to sort of get the opportunity to speak to you again. So thank you for taking the time. My first question was around the current economic climate. If you were to start again today with 37p, do you reckon you'd be able to get the same success if you were to start again now?
Well, 52 years on, I think that £37 would be, 37 pence would be a couple of pound.
Yeah.
So
okay, yeah, true. That's true.
What can you do with a couple of pound? Hustle. You can do things. You know, my back was against the wall. I had an altercation with the person the other side of the counter at the dole office when I begged for £2 a week extra to feed my 3-year-old child and my wife and myself, and they just said, "Have another baby, tick that box," and I was pretty disgusted with them for saying that, and I believe they still do. So that's why there is probably so many people on the dole who could, to be quite honest, be some great entrepreneurs. But of course, it's that fear. There's the fear of losing the money that you get, and that's a fear as well of people having a job and wanting to go into self-employment. So I do say in my talks, 80% of people in the world probably are the ones that are saying, I want to, but I can't. I want to, but I can't. So it's that fear. It's like being on the top diving board, going to jump into a cold swimming pool. Well, who wants to do that? I don't. So there's that fear, and which stops people from doing it. So could I? The question, no, that's a long way around, isn't it? The question is, could I start again? Of course.
Sure.
Yes, there's no doubt about it, because when your back's against the wall, your talents come out, and you've just got to do it. And this is the problem. I meet thousands of people who want to do it, but they're too comfortable.
Sure.
If there was a war, if there was analogy I used on Sunday when I was doing a talk was, you all need to up your game, get off your backside, and work like crazy for a few years. And I said, if a lion came in here now, if somebody let a lion into this, whatever it was, this building, what steps would you take? And I said, well, I'll tell you, big ones and quick. And you'd be out that window.
Yeah.
And some would be left to be eaten.
Sure.
And some would have gone the second that lion came through. I said, and that's it. That's the difference.
Sure. Do you think people are too comfortable with their place and things are too easy for them, so then that prevents them? And that's one of the differences you had, because it wasn't easy, so you really worked like crazy to make it happen for yourself.
Yes, yeah. There's another analogy, is that if you want the coolest freshest, cleanest water, you have to find a deep well. Now, if you find that well and the pump is dry, you know, one of these old-fashioned pumps where you pump and the pump is dry, what do you have to do? You have to prime the pump. And how you prime a pump is you pour a bucket of water in the pump while somebody is working the pump. Now, I'm glad to say Marilyn, my wife, and I both wanted the same things. We wanted to be secure, and we wanted to build a business that had that security and forever. So, metaphorically speaking, Marilyn pumped that pump and I poured the water in. But if the water is like 50 meters away and it's a dike, you need a bucket and you need to be able to run quick backwards and forwards, because if you stop pouring that water, if you stopped pumping that pump, it would go down to the bottom and you'd have to start all over again. And lots of people will start a business and they'll pump that pump and they'll run with that water, and then they get exhausted and then they pack it up. And then 2 years later they'll start again and they'll pack it up. But you can't pack it up. You've got to keep pumping. You've got to keep running. You've got to keep priming that pump. Once you've primed it, then it's easy because that water is flowing as long as you keep it going. So the hard work is for a start, first few years. And then once you get that pump going, it's like having a golden goose that will produce golden eggs. That water will flow as long as you look after it, as long as you keep it primed.
I like that analogy. I like that analogy a lot.
And I go off on a tangent. I do, and I forget the question.
One of my favourites, do you know, I don't know if you'd remember telling me this actually, but it's not my next question yet, but I'll give you a chance to have a drink, have a swig of coffee or what have you. But one of the pieces of advice that you gave me 5 years ago that I found really useful, and I always go back to, because sometimes I like to think I'm a risk taker, but sometimes I'm cautious. And we were chatting. I remember us chatting 5 years ago at your house. The sun was shining, and I asked you something. I can't remember exactly what it was I asked, but your response was classic, and it was, Pete, if you wait all day for all the lights to turn green on the traffic lights, you're never going to get to town. Sometimes you have to set off even though there's red lights. I said to you, don't wait until all the lights are on green before you head for town. That's it, and that's still like, it's a classic. It is. Really good. That really resonated. Genuinely, I think about that regularly, because there's always something in your head that's stopping you from taking action, and you just think, well, if I wait for everything to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect. So just got to keep going anyway. People do say, what is your plan? What plans did you have, and how did you execute those plans, and did everything go to plan? Well, no, because the thing is, you get in your car in the morning and you can see 250 feet, out of your drive, but you can't see what the next junction's going to bring. And you go. And you go to that next junction. Do you turn right or left, or you go straight on? Well, your choice is yours, because you could go to the left and there could be a roadblock. Well, that's fine. You could turn around. Don't get aggravated. You turn around, you go back, and you try going to the right. And if that's the same, everything is full of roadblocks. And you just have to get round them. Keep pushing. Over them, or... No, perfect. Right, I've got another question for you, Neville. Can you just bring your microphone a little bit closer, mate, if that's okay? How's right. Perfect. Testing, thank you. 1, 2. Yeah, perfect. Kiddicare was known for being obsessive about serving parents. Rather than aiming to be the biggest or the brashest, one of the things I picked up from our previous conversation listening back was it was around service and serving the parents to the best of your ability. What is it about that strategy? Why do you think that strategy worked so well? We had, one of our goals was to be able to work together. It wasn't anything about money. It wasn't anything about a particular type of business. It was about Marilyn and I working together. So that's
that's the furthest thing away from what people expect the answer to that question. It's the furthest thing. And then when we were happy, so money come along as a byproduct, I would say, for doing things right, because we was happy working together.
Sure.
And what did people came in and they used to say, I can't believe how you can give such good prices and such a good service. I said, well, the service is free. You know, I'm here. I'd have to, what do you expect? Somebody who's selling something cheap to be obnoxious, you know, or, well, it's over there type of thing. Yeah, we want to be happy while we're working. And, and happiness is a byproduct of somebody else being happy.
Sure.
So if your customer's happy, and I do say, we didn't want a customer. We didn't want a single customer. And people find that really strange. We've got a retail shop and we didn't want a customer. No, because a customer would go out and tell 3 people. We didn't want a customer. We wanted a raving fan.
Sure.
We wanted somebody to come in, and when they go out, they're going to tell the world. Even if there wasn't, even if the people wasn't expecting a baby, I want them to tell them, because they would probably know somebody who is.
Sure.
So you want a raving fan, and to get that raving fan, you've got to work very hard to get that. You've got to be enthusiastic. You've got to know your products. You've got to, and of course, all this goes back to, I would only be doing it if I were working with Marilyn, because that was our life.
Sure.
And then then we wanted the children to come into the business, which they did.
Sure. Very much a family affair.
Yes, it's that's it. And how we grew the business wasn't because we set out to grow it. We grew the business by customers being happy and coming back and telling other people, and it just grew naturally. So we had to buy more stock. We had to buy bigger premises. We had to buy warehouses, because the demand was there. It wasn't driven by us. It was driven by the customer. And again, people are quite amazed that we didn't have a strategy to build the biggest nursery shop in the world. It came organically.
Sure. And that leads me well on to my next question, to be fair, because my next question was around, you had great success with Kiddicare. And my question really was, did it feel like it was overnight? And one of the challenges around certainly growing a business now is there's that challenge between this hustle and grind that people say around growth at all costs, or having sustainable growth where you're sort of growing over time. Did it feel like it was an overnight success, or was it a long time in the making?
They say 24 hours or a week is a long time in politics.
Yeah.
24 hours is a long time in retail.
Sure.
Each day was... there's something, right, when I used to drive home, I used to ask myself, have we bought the business today, or have we sold it? And what I mean by that is, if we haven't progressed in any shape or form, even in the tiniest way, if we haven't progressed, then we've bought the business.
Sure.
And do we want to buy that business? Now, if we have sold the business, that means we've progressed somehow in the day. We've got a new product. We've met a new rep who's sold us a new brand. We've had more customers in the shop. We've done more sales. We've had more feedback. So therefore, we've improved the business. So if we wanted to sell it, we could. So this was a question every single day. Have I bought the business? And if so, do I want to? And have I sold the business? In other words, you never have to sell a business, but have you improved it? Have you educated yourself and the staff around you, and are they happy? You know, is everything working?
Sure.
Of course, it's like an up and down, but hopefully every day is an overnight success, you know,
Sure.
and if 30 years later it still is, you know, it's
Sure. So every day you drive home and you'd think, have I sold the business today? Have
Yeah.
I? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about
Have
the
I improved
growing
it?
and
Yeah.
improvement every day,
Yes.
edging it forward.
However, you know, because people get complacent. They do the same old thing. You've got to get off your ass, away from your desk. I never had a desk for about, I don't know, 30, maybe 30 years of the 32 years that I was in that business.
Sure.
I had a seat at the end of Marilyn's desk, so I didn't want to sit down.
Yeah.
It was go, go, go. I'd rather be on a fork truck or unloading a lorry or
Sure.
going round. So with ADHD, that is the words, isn't it? That
Yeah.
ADHD.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So with having that, it was absolutely great because my attention span was about 20 minutes. So we ended up with 12 departments, 12 managers, and so I spent 20 minutes with each of those.
Perfect. Yeah.
Now,
So it suited you then?
I think I know this is not the question, but just going on from that, we had 125 staff in the last shop. The average nursery shop in England has 6 staff.
Wow.
We had 125 full-time staff in one shop.
Yeah.
So I would never speak to a manager unless they'd got 2, 3, 4 people from that department around them. I said, I'm not opening my mouth unless I've got 4 to 6 people here to listen, and then we'll walk around the department. So you've got the manager, probably the under manager, and some new staff could be.
Yep.
Or somebody who's working in a certain area, they would join us so that everybody could hear what I'd got to say, good, bad, you know, whatever I've got to say, because they then know what's in my mind,
Sure.
what I want, how we want to do it, and always used to say, I'm not paying you, the customer is. So when you talk to a customer, or when you do something, even if you're in the background and you never see a customer, you are still working for that customer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Another reflection I have from when we met 5 years ago when I first spoke to you was around, and it was an interesting piece of advice around many businesses run super lean when it comes to people, and obviously that when you run lean with a group of people or with members of staff, that's very profitable, of course. But you gave interesting advice, which was around always making sure that you've got, you know, a little bit of adjustment to be able to make. So if you do lose somebody, it's not catastrophic. It's, you know, you've always got enough people there to be able to serve and do a fantastic job. And that interestingly over the last 5 years has served me very well, for sure. That bit of advice, yeah, really well.
One of the things, it first started when Marilyn had to go into hospital for a couple of days. We had 2 people leave us just a couple of days before that. And Marilyn said, this was in the 80s, I'm not going to employ any more people, because it was quite upsetting when 2 people you're relying on leave. She said, I'm not going to employ anybody else. We're just going to keep it to 15 people and that's it. Well, she went away. I couldn't do her job. I couldn't do the book work. I knew figures. I could instantly tell her anything about figures, but I couldn't write. I couldn't spell. So that was difficult for me. So I cleaned her desk and I put everything into, because I won't say she's the neatest person, because she stuffs all over her desk and she works. Even now, she works all the time, and that's 75. And so I put it all in a pile, in the in tray, and then I thought, this ain't going to work. It's not going to work. If she goes in hospital again or whatever, I'm not going to be able to run this business.
Sure.
Because I was on the shop floor.
Yeah.
So I rang the where you get people from. What's it called?
Recruitment.
A recruitment.
Yeah, recruitment.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, recruiter.
And I said, I've got vacancies. And they said, oh, yeah, how many? I said, 4. 2 to replace the ones that are gone, and 2 to replace if 2 more went.
Yeah.
And then I had to then work smarter or harder or think of how can I expand this business because I've got 2 people spare.
Right, okay, yeah.
So that was another thing that by default, reverse psychology, that if I'm going to have these people, I don't want them hanging around.
Yeah.
If they come to work for 8 hours, then I need them to work 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so forth. That it encouraged me to make the place cleaner, smarter, and then with that, we sold more product.
Sure. So that's really interesting. That's a philosophy in constant improvement and reinvestment, and constantly sort of pushing growth through acquisition of additional talent and getting people in to fulfill the work and holding the business to a high standard, which is absolutely fascinating.
I used the I think it's called Kaizen method.
Yeah.
Before it was ever invented.
Yeah, before it was a thing. Yeah.
So one small improvement at a time, doesn't matter how small it is, you improve it. So we went to Disney. We took the family to Disney for a couple of weeks. I can't remember exactly when it was. And I was amazed because in England, you used to go into a shop and there'd be price tickets all over the floor. There would be the wrapping that you get in clothes on the floor. And at the end of the night, people used to get the hoovers out and hoover up. In Disney, you didn't see any. It was immaculate. Yeah. And there was people going around with these little dustpans and sweeping brushes, so they didn't have to bend down. They got long handles. So immediately we got back, we went and got half a dozen of those. Sure. And we said, right, there's a new system. If a bit of paper, if a ticket or anything gets on the floor, it's gone within immediately. And what an improvement that was. Yeah. And the car park. So the car park used to get cleaned up about once a week. Sure. Oh no, every single day before the customers got in.
Sure. Yeah.
And throughout the day. I didn't want people driving into that car park thinking, what a shithole this is. Sure. It's like if they don't see any rubbish, they don't think of it.
Yes.
I wanted them to think about the excitement that they was going to have choosing a pram.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you go in the car park, no rubbish, everywhere clean. When you open the doors, you don't push it over to a tree or something. Sure. You don't go on to mud from your car. You know, everything is thought of. Yep. And then when you go into the shop, the doors open automatically. So you don't have to push on these big doors. You don't have to take a pram through and then struggle. Yep. So doors are automatically open. People used to come to us from sometimes 3 or 4 hours away, definitely 1 to 2 hours, the majority of people, and then 3 to 4 hours. First thing they was greeted with was toilets.
Yeah.
You don't have to open the door because we had corridors that went round male and female toilets. So they didn't have to touch the doors. Yeah. Probably when they got in. And then we had a toilet cleaner full time.
Sure.
And people used to come out and go, those toilets are cleaner than I've got in my house. And things like that. Then we had the sink for washing your hands, which was temperature controlled. Yeah. But then we went one step further and had a baby sink, for children. Nice. Lower. Yeah. All temperature controlled. Yeah. Yeah. And then they travelled for 3 or 4 hours. They want to go to the toilet and they want a coffee. So we had a restaurant.
Yeah, you had the coffee.
And serve food.
It's it's really interesting because I know Maggie, my wife, would be listening to this and she'd think, oh, this is heaven because we know if we're going anywhere for an hour, a couple of hours, I know in her mind, she's thinking, she's had 4 children. Where are the toilets? You know, she's thinking about where she's going to go to the toilet, and am I going to be able to find the toilet? And you know, you go, you know, God forbid, you go shopping in Queensgate in Peterborough now, and actually it's very difficult to even find a toilet.
Is it still? Is Queensgate still there?
Yeah, Queensgate's still there. Yeah, and
I remember it when it was 200 small shops,
Sure.
and they destroyed it. And we've got a wonderful cathedral.
Yeah.
We had some really old, quaint, independent shops in the 60s, 70s. I think the 80s, they pulled them all down.
Yeah.
What a pity, because it would have been a heaven for visitors coming to Peterborough, the old market town. It would have been absolutely.
Hi, my name's Pete, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's podcast. I'm a coach, speaker, and author. And if you want to take your personal development that bit further, did you know that I offer a mastermind program as well as one-to-one coaching? If you're interested, please do reach out on peterushmer.com.
So I try not to Peterborough bash, because I'm proud to be here, proud to live in Peterborough. And
I've been in Peterborough, and all our business is in Peterborough.
Yeah, it's but Queensgate, yeah. So you know, it's actually you know, they haven't thought about the experience. You know, you're talking about the experience of going shopping and having an enjoyable experience, and it just I believe that they've not done a great job of thinking about that. So I'm going to move on to so Morrisons ended up acquiring Kiddicare eventually.
They did.
And how did their leadership over the business differ from yours? How was their approach to business in comparison to yours?
It was completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations are completely different to independents.
Sure.
So if I'd have stayed, it was running like clockwork. You know, we had the managers, we had systems, everything had a system in the finest detail. And then we had a CEO, we had the people that you would expect, a general manager. We had everything. So it was working perfectly. If they'd have just carried on and fed the golden goose, just laying the golden eggs every day, they would have been fine. If I'd have been there, if I wanted to double, because we was doing 40 million and we'd got all the systems ready to go up to 200 million.
Right.
In the same place. Right. So 83% was done online. The rest of it was new products in the shop, all the products in the shop, but we used to test the new products through the shop, and all the returns, because people used to buy 3 pushchairs, look at the colours and send 2 back.
Yeah, sure.
And so they would never go out again. They would be sold on the shop floor.
Sure.
So because I didn't want the people to send them out again and somebody to have nicked the wheels or the hood, you know, thinking it was complete.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, when you take something out of a box, very often it comes out in 5 pieces and then you can't get it back.
Yeah, of course.
So that shop did its job. They decided to acquire, I think it was 50,000 square foot Carphone warehouses.
Okay.
So we had this system where we had one warehouse, or one shop. Everybody was working there. We could deal with the returns and everything. We didn't need 10 shops. There was probably a need for 3, one in Scotland and one in the south, London.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
Apart from that, we was doing fine.
Yeah.
Now, I would have put a kiosk, because we had 30 kiosks in our shop.
Okay.
So people didn't have to go to the till.
Yeah.
They was in that department. They'd go to the kiosk.
Yeah.
The staff would show them how to work it or work it for them.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to queue up at the till.
Sure.
Now, I would have put a kiosk in 500 Morrisons shops. I could have gone one step further and had some hoardings around. So
Yep.
it explained a bit more. I could have gone one step further and had an assistant there to show them how to use the kiosk,
Sure.
to show them the catalogue online,
Sure.
and to give them some idea
Sure.
of what they needed. And that would have, I'm sure that would have doubled the turnover in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we would have gone up to 200 million after 2 years
Okay.
doing it that way.
Yep.
But they didn't. They didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to physically expand the stores
Yep.
like a supermarket would.
Yep.
And the first store they opened, I think, was in Nottingham. They've got Mothercare on one side. They've got, I believe they've got Toys R Us on the same area.
Yeah.
They've got 3 tills.
Mm-hmm.
They've got 115 staff. I think there was about, the rent and the rates was about 100,000, something like that.
Right. Okay.
No, it wasn't. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, within 2 minutes of going into the shop, you realised if the queue was a mile long
Mm-hmm.
and they was open for about 10 hours a day, the amount of money they could have took through the till
Yeah.
and the amount of profit they was making because their overheads had gone up, they would never make any money. So from the day that first one opened, they'd make a loss.
Doomed to failure.
And then they carried on and they opened 10.
Wow.
So you knew it was loss making
Yeah.
instead of profit.
Sure.
I don't know whether it's greed or ego or what it is.
Yeah.
It didn't fit.
Fundamental lack of understanding of how to run the business as well as you did.
We wasn't selling baked beans.
No.
People didn't return every day or every week to pick their baked beans up.
No. Sure.
They came in and they was looking for a pramologist
Yeah.
to sell them, to advise them and sell them what they needed.
Yeah.
And a pramologist takes 2 years of hard training
Yep.
before they become and a pramologist is somebody who knows more than the customer.
About the pram. Yep.
And nowadays with the internet, within 15 minutes, you can find out more detail about a product than the person who's on the shop floor supposed to be selling it.
Sure.
And that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
So I think nowadays people should go back to answering the phone instead of AI answering it.
Yeah.
They should have knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure companies don't invest in knowledge.
Sure. One of the questions I had, you post sale of Kiddicare, you've reinvented yourself from an investment perspective, getting into property and a whole new industry or additional industry. One of the things that I come across with some of my clients is when they're growing a business, their identity gets wrapped up in that business because they're so attached to it. Did you feel that as you grew Kiddicare, your identity was tied into it, or was it quite straightforward for you to extract yourself and then go on to your next project?
Over the period of 30 years, or 34 years from when we started, we built a portfolio of £30 million of property beside Kiddicare.
Sure.
When you have got a business like ours, you know that there's a heart and soul has gone into that business, but you have to extract yourself away from it. So in the early days, I was selling on the shop floor.
Mm.
Then I found there was more administrative things to do and lorries to unload, and
Sure.
it got bigger, and the premises to keep maintained and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't be in both places at the same time. And when people ask, "Oh, Neville always serves me," they'd go to the, "Is Neville here?" And they'd go, "Yeah, he's in the office." "Well, can I see him? Because he always serves me."
Sure.
And so there was a period of time when I had to step back and train the people to answer those questions, and to so that people didn't ask for me. So it
Sure.
was about a year, I would say, that, and then people didn't ask anymore because there was new people that
Sure.
hadn't met me or Marilyn. And so you extract yourself away. And also, for a business, for a one-man business, it doesn't matter whether they're, I've got 10, 15, 20, 50 staff. If they are in it constantly, being the conductor and everybody to see that nothing happens without their say-so, then you're never going to sell that business.
Yes.
Because if you died, there'll be no business because nobody would know what to do. So we put a training program in for everything and a systems. And that's how we extracted ourselves.
Sure.
Now, I used to look at stuff. We was there all the time, but I used to look at things and it was what's going to happen with retail in 5 years' time,
Sure.
4 years' time, 3 years' time, 2 years' time, you know, and think ahead, think of strategies of how we was going to build the business. And Marilyn just loved buying.
Yeah.
So she'd got 2 people there who's quite capable. She trained them over years to be the best buyers in the industry of soft goods. But Marilyn liked to be in it.
Yeah.
But if she wasn't there, they could quite easily make their own decisions. And the same with everybody else. They was empowered to make their own decisions. And there wasn't a right or wrong decision. They were empowered to look at the situation as it was at that time and make a decision for the good of the company, the good of the customer, and the good of the staff. Now, I used to get people coming in and go, Neville, I'm really, really sorry. I've made this decision and you probably ain't going to like it.
Yeah.
And I go, you are the person in the front line. You're the only person who can understand what's going on all around you. And you made a decision, and that's fine. You made a decision for the company. And very rarely we lost, but it didn't matter. It was the overall responsibility of these people. And these people took it really seriously, and they because they wasn't going to get shouted out, you know, whatever you do. They wasn't going to get reprimanded.
Yeah, sure.
But they'd been taught, and this is why I used to go around and say, I'm not opening my mouth until there's a group. And if there's not a group in like 20 seconds, you know, I'm off to the next one. So they knew my feelings, my thoughts, the ethos of the everything in the company. And they was able to absorb that and take that on, knowing that they could make a decision without getting balled out.
Yep. Brilliant. You strike me as someone who's clear, calm and consistent. When have you failed and what did you learn from failing?
I've probably, on that one, I probably failed every day.
Okay.
I was working for years and years and years for a madman.
Okay.
Crazy, crazy madman in my eyes and in Marilyn's eyes. And that madman was me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I expected, and this is kind of another side of business, I expected everyone who came to work with us, not for us, but with us, because I didn't class people as working for me. They was all working with me.
Sure.
And my, I could say failure, or my naivety in business was that everyone would have the same drive, the same ambition, the same thoughts as me. And of course, it took me years and years to understand that they've got a family. You know, they're coming to work for money initially. Then a lot of them turned into a passion and took responsibility, and that was absolutely great. But it was this new ones. I couldn't understand why they'd just come to Kiddicare for money and not have it in their blood And why are they going home just because it's whatever it is, 5 o'clock, you know, when there's customers in the shop? Why aren't they staying? Why aren't they serving the customers? And it's things like that. Why don't they do these things in an order, what they've been given, because they're wasting time. They're walking down the warehouse when they know there's a pallet of goods that need to be taken. Why have they gone there with empty-handed? And so we had a system where we had ended up with about 40 staff in the office. 17 of them was on the internet. And the rest was buyers and general accounts and things like that. If they got up from their desk and they walked to another desk and they wanted to know something, well, that's fine. But if they just walked over to the other desk because they haven't got a sellotape or a ruler or a calculator, that was wrong. Because immediately the manager saw that, of that department, saw that, they would go to the stationery person and go, I want a ruler on every desk. I want to, I want this on every desk. So it's time and motion.
Yes.
It was. So these things, all systems.
Sure.
I hadn't got any problem with them doing what they wanted to do, but not to go and get a ruler, because I could have paid for the ruler in the time that they walked over there.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
and that causes chaos.
Yes.
And then where's mine? Who took it? And all that kind of stuff.
Make sure they've got all the access to resources they need. That
so
makes total
invest
sense.
in the business into the minutest detail.
Sure, that makes sense. If you were to start Kiddicare today, what would be different for you compared to when you did start it?
Well, there's a massive difference in today's retail world. Massive. And that is, there is no deterrent, there's no backup on people thieving. And this is one of the biggest things, I'm sure, stopping people going back into retail. I'd love it, I would. But we had 3 security staff in our last shop. We had people who were aware of the local environment and would warn the staff as soon as anybody came in. We could detain people, and we would know within minutes the police would be there. That's all gone. So that's the biggest that's the biggest thing to stop.
The biggest challenge
going into retail.
Sure.
There's the biggest challenge, because we're doing it because it's nice. We want to work together. We want to we want people to have a nice experience. And the two things you see it so many times, people going in front of security staff and just taking stuff, and they are not allowed to do anything. Well, I'm sorry, I'm responsible, and all of our staff are responsible to maintain the place, to keep a job.
Sure. Yeah.
Because eventually it'll come where people won't be able to go into retail, and it's coming fast.
I think you got a really good point there. I see the videos online, for example, kids going into JD Sports and they just pick up whatever they want, and the security guards are impotent. The security guards are impotent, aren't they? There's nothing they can do. I don't see the point in them even being there generally, apart from as a deterrent. But
I spoke to a manager of one of these, I would say 7-Eleven. I don't think it's called that, but it's a shop, like a neighbourhood shop.
Sure.
And the manager said the kids come in after school, and he says, you shouldn't be taking that. That's not the right thing to do. And they just ignore him totally, and he's not allowed to do anything. So it's a free for all, and that's not a good society to be in. There's got to be rules.
Yes.
In a civilized society, or else it goes into anarchy and chaos.
Sure.
And that's where we are going, into anarchy and chaos. And once it starts, which is it's years now, the momentum will build up, and it would just destroy the UK.
Yeah. No, I see the challenge. I think one of the things that I work with my clients is around behavioral management, and one of the most important things when it comes to managing people's behavior is around there being a consequence. And when when how we influence behavior is through either dialing up or down whatever the consequence is. The same way, one of the good examples I use is when you're driving, if you see a speed sign says 30 miles an hour, chances are you're probably going to do it. But if there's a speed camera and you're going to get fined and you're going to get points, you're very likely to do it because the consequence is stronger of getting the fine and the points. And the issue we have, like you say, with shoplifting and theft and those kinds of things, if there's no consequence, then we end up impotent, don't we?
The deterrent is that people who want to serve people, want to make the place a better place, want to be independent, and the consequences are that they don't start business.
No, exactly. No.
I could go on a lot about that, but I don't think this podcast is
we don't have enough time for it.
Suitable.
I know you've got some strong views, and what I'd say for listeners is do follow Neville on his socials, because you got some strong and interesting views on things, and I think it's very. I find it very interesting when I listen.
Yes, there's I can't say what I would like to help the country, because the feeling in many areas of authority are not what I would say common sense.
Sure.
That's as far as I'll go.
Appreciate that, Neville. Thank you. So, sort of one of the questions I wanted to ask is, many of the business owners I speak to, often they don't really know what success looks like beyond a strong balance sheet and good profitability. They don't really know what success looks like for them. Did you always have a firm idea of where you were heading from a career perspective? Has your career gone how you imagined it to?
I suppose so. When we sold Kiddicare, it was possibly the worst time of our lives, because we knew it was time to sell. We have built businesses after that from 2011. We've built quite a few and we've sold them.
Sure.
But nothing has ever come up to the thrill, I would say, of running that business, because it was a nice business. It had lots of nice people in that industry.
Sure.
That we met and became great friends. We still see a lot of people. We still see a lot of our staff, and that's from 2011.
Yeah.
So I had one come round the other day, one of Marilyn's assistants, and she said, "Oh, when you start again, I'll just leave my job in a second and come and work with you."
How lovely is that? Yeah.
And that is generally what I get. When are you going to open? When are we going to get the team back? Because it was a family, massive family. People used to meet each other and get married and have kids, and it's like it. Where else do you go if you're happy in an industry or a company? Yeah. Then you've got to look no further. You can have a whole life, and it's nice. So I forgot the question. What was
it? Was around if your career has turned out how you expected it to.
No, it probably hasn't, because I'd have liked to have been in that business until I die. Well into my 90s. I would have loved to have been in there, but these circumstances. We've just been through a recession, the worst recession in 300 years. And if we thought that was bad, there's probably more to come in the near future. That was my prediction. Anyway, so I think
you're probably not far wrong.
the thing was that had really beaten us into a pulp, really, physically, mentally, and yes, psychologically, it was time to go. But it would have been nice, and it was out of our control because we didn't start that recession. It hit us like a ton of bricks, we was in a train going at 1,000 miles an hour, hitting the buffers one day, and that was really, really bad. So, I suppose mentally we was ready for a rest.
Sure.
We didn't rest very long because I think it was the 29th of January that everything was completed. The money hadn't gone across. 3rd of February started a new house building company, which was going to be the biggest in the Midlands because we'd made that decision. And on the 14th of February, the 70 million in cash hit our bank. We was given a month that we could keep our office in the Kiddicare, but not talk to anybody. And after a week, we left.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any point. Our door was open all the time, and people used to queue up and come in. What do you want? It's like my next door neighbour's playing up, or keeping us awake at night. What do I do? To getting a mortgage, to the kids gone off the rails. And it was that type of thing. Sometimes there was something about products or systems.
Sure.
But majority was come and have a cup of tea, calm down, look at it in a different perspective,
Sure.
and of course, and the staff knew what we'd been through.
Sure.
And I asked lots and lots of staff, should we sell it? And all of them were so good. It could have affected them, or it did affect them after 3 years, but it could have affected them. And yet each of them said, Neville, Marilyn, you must do what's best for yourself.
Sure.
That's what, it's so empathetic, not sympathetic, empathetic.
Yeah.
There was so good.
Supportive, yeah.
To us,
sounds really
supportive.
Yeah. My final question before I move on to the quick fire question. So, if you're mentoring a founder today, so someone starting out on their business, what's the truth you'd be sharing with them before they decide to scale, seek investment, or go for acquisition? What's the, what's the thing that you think that a new founder might be struggling with?
Are they happy?
Okay.
Because why are you doing it?
Sure.
You're doing it because you want to make your life better. I seldom think people are, although people do say, how do I make $1 million in 3 quick ways? They're dreamers. But how do you make more money? What's a product that I should sell that will make us the biggest amount of money? That's nothing. That's all out the window.
Sure.
It's what makes you happy.
Sure.
What makes you tick? You are. What do you love doing? What is your passion? Because people used to come to Kiddicare to work. A lot of it was in transit. They had a job, they had a profession, and they'd lost it, and they was going to wait for another job. But they needed money, so they'd come and work in a retail shop. Yeah, just for some money, nothing else. They got no interest whatsoever, and we turned that into an interest by finding out. The manager would find out what this person's all about. What do they like? What are their passions? What are their hobbies? And if they'd got something that was in a different department, the manager used to say, well, why don't you go to that department? Because you'll be happier, you're more talented, you could bring something to the company. And that's how we kept people. And they go, I never realised that I come here to be in the warehouse and now I'm a photographer, or now I speak, now I'm a demonstrator. It's something I wanted to do all my life and never had the opportunity. Sure. And the guy who was our security manager, he came as a warehouse, and he caught a thief. We said, "How did you do that?" And he says, "Well, I was working in Tottenham Court Road, for years as security."
Right.
Okay. You're a security manager, because we've never had one before.
Yeah.
And then and the internet, the first internet person, he came to rip up cardboard, squash cardboard boxes down while other people unloaded lorries. Sure. And somebody said, "Oh, my computer's gone wrong," when he was taking their waste paper baskets, and he put it right. And we said, "How did you know how to do that?" He says, "Oh, it's my hobby." Yeah. I said, "Put the baskets down. You're now our IT manager." Yeah. This was in the 80s when nobody knew about IT.
Sure.
And those were the things. So I forgot the question.
No, it's okay. I think you made a really clear point there, actually, inadvertently, and that is that the money and the success comes from the passion and the love. Is essentially the message there.
Yeah,
and are you passionate, and do you love what you're doing? And if you do, scale, and if you don't, you need to find something else.
Yeah, I think 80% of people are they want to, but they can't. I want to, but I want to, but I'm not risking my money. Want to, you risk it. You got it because you took risks, and you've lost that. You've lost your way forward.
Sure.
You've lost your passion. You just now treading water, and. Yeah, but what happens if it goes wrong? Well, you're good at your job, aren't you? Well, you can go and get another job, can't you? Because somebody would even want you even more because you've been self-employed and you understand a different way of life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. No, really good answer. Thank you, Neville. Right, I've got 5 quick-fire questions. So these are quick ones. The first one is, and interestingly, one of my other memories from when we spoke before and I came to your house, is you bought out this big, you've got like the original tape version, like the old tapes. Yeah. You'd got the tape version of Think and Grow Rich.
All right.
I think it was Napoleon Hill. I think it was Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah,
anyway, am I right?
I've got lots of them.
Yeah,
Think and Grow Rich is one of them.
So I was going to
never read the book.
Yeah.
But
you said to me you'd listen to the tapes in the car
over and over again.
So my question was, the quickfire question was, how do you develop yourself?
I never learned anything at school because I was dyslexic. So if you see these letters falling off the page, you can't read them. You wonder how everybody else is putting them together and making them work. So you can't do that. So if you can't read, you can't write. And then you just go off onto looking at the sky or whatever and running about and being called stupid. What did you just say to me?
I asked, how do you develop yourself?
How do you
develop yourself?
Oh, yeah. Well, so you're looking, when you're in your element, and when I say, are you in your element doing anything? And they go, what do you mean? Well, when you do something that you're passionate about, that you're wanting to do. I mean, Beckham is a good example. At 8 years old, he was kicking the football. Mm-hmm. He didn't look at a watch and say, "Oh, it's time for dinner." Yeah. His mum shouted him. Well, I'm guessing this. His mum shouted him and said, "It's your dinner time." And he go, "Oh, I've just got to kick, a bit higher, a bit, further." And it's like, that is being in your element.
Yeah.
When you see children are in their element. Give me a child until they're 7 and I'll give you the man or woman, in the future. So they're being at school, they're usually knocked out of all being in their element. Mm-hmm. Because if you're in your element, you don't look at the time. You're just passionate about that thing, what's in front of you. And then this is knocked out of you over a period of 10 years. Mm-hmm. So artists are artists when they're kids. Mm-hmm. And if they keep in school too long, they get it knocked out of them.
Sure.
So you've got to be in your element.
Sure.
You have. And follow your dreams. Follow your passions, and if you haven't got any, this is another thing. So sometimes you have to do things like, I hadn't got any money. The 37 pence was for a piece of scrim. I went window cleaning. So I told myself, I love this job, I love this job, I love this job, because I hated it. So I hadn't got another one. So if you're in a job and you hate it, why not go and get another one? And if people say, well, I can't, no, because you don't love the job you're in. You've got to brainwash yourself into believing this is the best job because it's the only job. So I used to say this is the best job in the world, knowing hopefully I wouldn't be doing it tomorrow. I'd be doing something else.
Sure. No, perfect. So that kind of ties into my other quick question, which is about advice for your younger self, which is around obviously loving what you do. So I'll move on to, what sacrifices have you made? If you think about it, what sacrifices have you made?
If you are in your element, you don't make sacrifices.
Okay.
Yeah, things other people think you do. Why haven't you been on holiday? Well, why should I go when I can't afford it, because I'm putting all the money into the business. But you haven't had a holiday for 3 years. So if I do, it's like priming that pump. I've got that pump working. I've got that water flowing. And you're saying, go off on holiday, lose 2 weeks money in your business. You're bored for 2 weeks because you know that you're losing out and you're not building that business in that 2 weeks. And you're saying you should go on holiday. It affects other people more than it affects yourself. Why aren't you coming down the pub? Well, why should I? Well, we all go down the pub on a Friday night and all the boys get together. Well, probably they do, but I've got a life I need to build. I've got a passion. I can see something in front of me. And if I do that, then it's going to disrupt. It's going to disrupt it. If I wanted to, I would, but you have to sacrifice something. You have to sacrifice, especially, well, I could go out eating every night, but I would sacrifice my health. If I didn't do any exercise every day. I've been in the gym this morning. I've had a sauna this morning, and it's like I need to, because it's party, for the month now and the month before. I've been invited to more parties this year, and I think it's because I'm 75. What they're doing, what people are going, it's Neville Marilyn. Christ, they're 75 now. We probably won't see him next year. Less.
Make most of it now.
The thing is, now there was another thing. For 12 years, I never used my cooker in my house because this is in the 80s and 90s, because we was too busy. We used to go out and eat every night, usually with reps, and do the business there, not in the daytime. Sure. So I used to invite reps, instead of them going to hotels, stop round my house. Right, there was a goal within a goal, but I still didn't have time to cook in those days because we was busy. But I utilised that time. Sure. And it's other people that get affected more than you do.
Sure. Final question then: discipline or motivation? Which is more important, and why?
Well, you've got to be motivated to be disciplined, haven't you? In a way, you've got to want something. Your discipline is, this gym is there. So I've put 2 gyms in my 2 houses. So I put 2 gyms in because I know I'm not motivated to get up and go out at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time, in the cold, because I hate the cold. But I will go in the gym at home. If I pass my 3 computers and it doesn't draw me in to look at what's gone on in the night. Anyway, so I think they go together.
Okay. I was going to say, I think for you, it sounds like they go together. The discipline, you got to be motivated, which makes you want to do something. And then because you want to do it, you're disciplined to then make sure you do it. Because even when you don't want to, it's the right thing to do.
Has your wife ever told you it's time to clean the garage out? Yeah. So I'm tired. I can't be doing it. I'll do it tomorrow. And then a friend says, we couldn't get to golf. Well, I've just got a spot in 10 minutes time. Yeah. Oh, well, that's fine. Your wife's saying, I thought you was too tired to clean the garage out. And you go, yeah, but I've got a game of golf. That's if you like golf.
Absolutely. Do you like golf?
I've had my times. Okay. Now I've got other things. But Marilyn sent me out one day. She says, go and play golf because you are going to have a heart attack the way you are working like a madman. Anyway, I realized that I was getting more value out of golf than any other golf player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was taking more shots. I was walking further. My weight was dropping off me. So being the worst at golf was actually a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would do 8,000 steps. I would do 16.
Oh, brilliant, Neville. And on that note, thank you for joining me on the podcast. It's been fantastic.
You're very welcome.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you've really enjoyed listening to Neville today. He's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed the stories and all the insights from his time with Kiddicare and property investment as well. So thank you very much, Neville. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do leave us a 5-star review, subscribe, and I'll see you on a future episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on today's It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you took the time to listen, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to ensure that you receive future episodes too. If you want to find out any more, please do search It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast, and you'll find it on your favourite podcast app. Thank you.